This week on the Powell Not Found podcast, we're talking about Devin Williams being out as the Yankees closer, as the Yankees take 2 out of 3 and sweep a doubleheader on Sunday, but lose the opener to the Toronto Blue Jays. Coming up next on the show, here we go.
I'm gonna tell you a story about a girl who loves gin. A national pandemic seized her birthday celebration. Although she knew it was coming, we tried not to tell her. She brewed some Irish breakfast tea. She knew her birthday was getting corona.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 62 of the Powell Not Found podcast with your host, myself, and I, Mark Powell, for the week of Sunday, April 27th, 2025. Hope you guys all had a good weekend. This is going to be a short little podcast because we were recording late on a Sunday because we just finished watching the Yankees doubleheader sweep, which is a very generous way to categorize that. They really took 2 out of 3 from the Blue Jays. Saturday's game was rained out early. And if you did get that message from the New York Yankees on Saturday, a very weird postponement, rain delay. Apparently, if you had tickets, you could exchange them, not for the next game, because it's a single admission doubleheader, but you had to wait to exchange those tickets for a different similar game. So apologies to anybody traveling up to Yankee Stadium for that Saturday game that just got unceremoniously canceled due to some pretty extreme weather coming through the area. I myself was at a baseball game. I was at the Nats-Mets game this weekend, taking that in, and also experienced a couple different rain delays. Let me tell you, I've been in a lot of different stadiums, and where I was sitting, the stampede that ensued when the rain started getting heavy enough, that was the biggest action I saw on the field that day. That was a 2-0 win from the Mets. A home run by Alvarez basically was all of the offense that day, and that's pretty much where we all stood. So, getting back to an indoor concourse of where there was any semblance of being dry was an accomplishment, to say the least. And it was exciting. It was exciting kind of going with the crowd, and fingers crossed, and we made it. But the Yankees, let's start really. The Yankees take 2 out of 3 from the Blue Jays. The bats wake up in game 1. That's always kind of good to see, especially when the bottom of the lineup starts producing. We've said countless times on this podcast that if the Yankees are going to be successful, they're going to need more than Judge. Last year, they're going to need more than Judge, more than Soto, really, to kind of get going. And finally, we're starting to see offense from Volpe waking up. Volpe's going the other way. He hit a home run in game 1 today, his 5th on the year. Wells banging that double off the wall. Finally, some long-awaited production from Austin Wells, who finally seems to be figuring it out in the plate. And again, it's still early, but it's a month sample size now that we're getting from some of these players. And when you see their bats starting to wake up, that is always a good sign. Wells did not play in game 2 of the series. That went to J.C. Escara, who also stung his first home run, a major league home run, and just clobbered a ball 415 feet. So good for him. Wells ends up just above the Mendoza line there at 213, but he goes 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs. So a good day for Yankee catchers all around. But unfortunately, this series, which the Yankees dropped the opener 4-2, they rebound in the doubleheader, winning 11-2 in the second game and 5-1 behind some really strong pitching performances from Max Fried in game 1 of the doubleheader and Schmidt in the second game of the doubleheader. Fried ends up going 6. Started a little bit rough. It looked like it was going to be the first semblance of Fried having a rough appearance as a Yankee, but he improves to 5-0 in the season. He settles down after the first couple innings there. allowing a couple walks. It looked like he was getting a little rattled, but he made some adjustments and ends up going 6. 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, and 2 walks, 3 Ks on the day. And the game is finished out by De Los Santos and Tyler Matzik, who, to be honest, didn't know he was on the roster. I had no idea. But in these doubleheaders, they're so precious about their pitchers and about who plays and every equal playing time and not wearing anybody out that you start seeing some deep cuts in the bullpen that you weren't even aware were on the roster. So I guess that's on me, because when I looked at the box score here, I was like, Matzik, I'm having a hard time figuring out who that is. Like we said earlier, Schmidt goes 5 innings, 1 hit. His only real mistake is the home run to Santander in the 3rd inning. And then pretty much automatic, Hill to Leiter to Fernando Cruz to Weaver all get 1 inning apiece. And the bullpen, 4 innings, 2 hits, and pretty much lights out for the Yankee bullpen after Schmidt gives them a solid 5. 12 Ks on the day for the Yankees pitching. And Weaver comes in to close in a non-save situation at the end. But what I was trying to get at was really the story of the day is that Devin Williams, who the Yankees acquired this offseason for Nasty Nestor from the Milwaukee Brewers, a closer, the closer for the Milwaukee Brewers, came over and this offseason kind of unceremoniously replaced Luke Weaver, who took over for a struggling Clay Holmes last season in 2024. And Luke Weaver did marvelously, going into a role where he struggled as a starter and stepped into the closer's role. And not only did we see lights out work that we haven't really seen since the Jabba Chamberlain days, setting up Mariano, or early Aroldis Chapman when he was the closer. You just saw energy coming from Luke Weaver, faces, expressions. It was fun. It gave the end of Yankees baseball excitement that it certainly needed, that it didn't really have coming out of the bullpen since Enter Sandman had been played back in 2013. So the Yankees have gone through now quite a few over the last 12 years, quite a few different closers. Clay Holmes seemed like he was kind of the guy, but he struggled after 12 blown saves. I believe the number was 12 from last year. It was quite high, and the Yankees decided to make a move. This year, they're not pulling any punches with how long the leash is for the closer. Devin Williams struggled in the last 2 games that he had. Not only blew this first game for Toronto, but also coughed up 4 against the Tampa Bay Rays, if I'm not mistaken. And his last 2 games really have been quite rough. Yeah, it was the Yankees, I believe, went in with an 8-4 lead and non-save situation on April 19th, and Devin Williams surrendered 4 runs, 3 unearned, 1 walk. And the general sentiment coming from the Yankees was that, he was getting bad luck behind him defensively, choppers here and there, and that can happen. But Devin Williams had struggled previously in a Yankees uniform in his 2025 in his limited outings. So April 19th was the big one, the 3 earned runs, 4. But on April 9th in Detroit, he went 2/3 of an inning, 3 runs. At Pittsburgh, he went a third of an inning with a run scored, not earned. And his first debut against Milwaukee, it was 2 hits, 1 earned run. On the season, Devin Williams has gone 8 innings pitched, 10 earned runs, 7 walks. Right? Is that right? Yeah, 7 walks, and 8 strikeouts. Just a terrible, terrible track record coming in to the closing role. And so they did not wait. And as of this morning, the Yankees had announced that Luke Weaver was going to be moving into the closer's role, and they were going to make the adjustment that Devin Williams was no longer going to be serving in that role. He was going to be used in in other leveraged positions going forward. It was going to be a little bit. He was out of high leverage situations, especially after this opener to the Blue Jays where he imploded and blew the save. So while last year, certainly not the leash that we saw with Clay Holmes last year. I mean, 12 blown saves before they decided to kind of pull the trigger. And knowing that Clay Holmes was a free agent, in this particular one, they wanted to take a more proactive approach after the Yankees closer here doesn't even record an out in April 25th against the Toronto Blue Jays, the opener of this series. 2 hits, 3 earned runs. And they decide to, hey, we're going to try to fix this. They certainly have more of an investment in Devin Williams than they had in Clay Holmes going into this season. Obviously, he was a free agent after the 2024 season, so maybe this is why they pulled the trigger a little bit early, but this is kind of what they had to say on that matter. Here's Aaron Boone talking about the decision to pull Devin Williams from the closer's role. Let's take a listen.
Right now, I'm going to take him out of that role. As I said to him, it's like, he's still got everything to be great, right? This is a guy that is in the prime of his career. And he's just, going through it a little bit. And it happens. Like, as I tell you guys, I tell our players all the time, you make a career at this long enough and you're going to face some challenging moments. You're going to face some adversity along the way. And the good news for Devin is he's got everything to get through this and come out better on the other side. And that's my expectation. But for right now, I think it's best for everyone that we pull him out of that role, try and start building some good rhythm and confidence and momentum, and fully expect him to be a central figure for us moving forward. As you go through these things as a player, even when you're really good at this, it's a struggle. I do believe at his core, he knows that he's going to get through this. It's just when you're going through it, it's a little challenging to find and trust that. So he'll get there, and we'll support him as best we can.
Right now is the operative word, right, that you heard Boone say. This is not a permanent thing. I said before that they invested in him for 2 years, whatever's left on his contract, that they're not just going to throw away what they traded away and prospects that they, Nestor plus whoever was in that deal that escapes me right now. They're not just going to throw it away after 1 month of play, right? If you think they're going to cut bait on a closer like Devin Williams after the first month of the season, after 8 innings pitched, well, then you haven't watched enough baseball. I mean, there are bullpen relief arms that are strolling in from the bullpen every single day with 14 ERAs, and no one's getting the kind of press. This is getting a little bit more heightened because of a couple things. One, Weaver did such a good job last year stepping into that role. So I think for a lot of fans, it was confusing to see the Yankees trade for a closer when they already seemed like they had something kind of cooking in the oven with Weaver. It was kind of an interesting move and a surprising one to see that they didn't have full faith that Weaver was going to be the real deal closer, even though he established it on essentially the highest stage you can have in Major League Baseball. I think that was confusing to fans. 2, this is New York. I don't think it's helped, or it helps the situation when you have the fan base screaming, "We want Weaver," when you're clearly going through something and it's your first month in New York. And as much as I don't like hearing that as an excuse, I think it is different than playing in other markets. I think if this was happening in Milwaukee, no one would be talking about it. If this is happening in Tampa Bay, no one will be talking about it. But because it's happening with the Yankees and it's happening in New York, the ire of the fan base is going to let Boone and co. know what probably should have happened in the beginning of the season. But when you invest in a closer like that, you're going to use him as the closer. So that's unfortunate. 2, 3, it might be a situation where maybe maybe a lot of stuff's going on. There's an adjustment period. I mean, there's been plenty of players that don't like playing in New York. Randy Johnson is one to be confirmed, where he hated his time in New York City, or as a Yankee in New York City. He didn't want to go there, right? He reluctantly pitched there for Joe Torre. I think that's clearly stated. It's actually clearly stated in Joe Torre's book that he didn't like being in New York. That might be a situation. Also, too, plenty of people have said it takes him a long time to kind of wind up, right? I think we're basing a lot of this kind of lights out stuff in the last couple of years. Last year, he didn't pitch until July 28th. He had a full half of a season that he wasn't there, injured. The 2023 campaign, I think he was lights out. It's very hard to duplicate that kind of stuff. So especially when you're coming to a team that just happens to have a history of a very good closer that no one is going to live up to for a very, very, very long time. So I think the expectation of what he can deliver and what he is delivering is so vast right now and plus it's amplified and magnified in this market that it's just created this cocktail of this horrible, horrible, horrible cocktail of unfortunate circumstance for Devin Williams and for the start of his Yankee career. Now, this is probably going to be a blip on the radar come June, right? We're going to probably look back on this and be like, once he's reinstated as a closer, once he gets a number of successful stints under his belt, he's going to be fine. We've even seen elements of what Devin Williams can do in earlier appearances. I mean, he, outside of these last two, his last two appearances against Kansas City and against the Rays, which he on the 2 nights before he kind of imploded against them, 1 inning, 2 innings, 1 strikeout, just automatic. The previous 1, 2, 3, 4 before that, shaky, but still getting it done somewhat, except for that one on April 9th. So it's been off and on. We've seen glimpses of what he can become. Now, if he turns it on and finds it, I think everyone's gonna be singing a little bit of a different tune. But it's definitely a tough start to a Yankee career, and you don't want this thing to spiral, because how many times have we seen now different versions and incarnations of Yankee players come in and out, draw the ire of the Yankee fandom because they're not performing, and then they never recover, i.e. Joey Gallo, IKF. These Aaron Hicks, even though he had a track record of success, I mean, by the time he started kind of falling apart, there wasn't really a lot of recovery. There wasn't a lot of joy seeing his bat in the lineup. So hopefully you got to root for this guy, and hopefully he'll turn it around soon. The other thing is that the expectations need to be lowered. Yankee fans were spoiled with Mariano Rivera, and I think after 12 years, the legend of Mariano Rivera has become even bigger, being unanimously selected to the Hall of Fame. It, I think, has given people a false assumption that he was automatic every single time. Yes, most times he was. But there were certainly a lot of times where he went through struggles, where he, a lot of people don't talk about the time that he started developing like another pitch outside the cutter because he was trying to find something, right? Boone even mentions it in his quotes about adversity, right? They're going to find adversity throughout their career. I mean, Mariano Rivera, especially after 2001, where he blew the Game 7 to the Diamondbacks and they won that World Series. I think it took a while for Mariano Rivera to kind of come back online a little bit. Figure out what's the next step. And then 2003, they only got to 6 games against the Marlins. And then 2009, he finally won that World Series. And I don't know if you remember it, but he's like, oh, it felt really good, especially after those last 2. But he was trying to develop himself into a different pitcher, when the cutter wasn't working. Certainly David Ortiz had his number. So he was a great closer. And he was probably the best. Don't think you can keep all of these closers to that standard because it's just going to be a failing exercise each time. The Yankees have gone through a number of different closers since the Mariano era has passed. I'm trying to see if I can find a list of all the closers that they've had here. Let me see. Yeah, it's been quite a lot. I mean, Chapman comes to mind, Holmes comes to mind, Dave Robertson. Yeah, there's been a lot. So, I mean, listen, when you see something as electric as Weaver, the fans are going to want it because they want to have something in place coming into the 9th inning and closing out those games. So hopefully, Weaver continues to perform. Weaver also, even though he closed out the game tonight, Weaver got kind of tagged the night before. 3 really far fly balls that kind of ended the game in when against the Royals, I believe, when his last appearance was. If I'm not mistaken. But he kind of got tagged. So, again, even though something might seem automatic, it's still hard. It's a different game. It's a different animal closing out ball games. That's why you see such interesting characters kind of come in the 9th inning because it's a different ball game. It's not a starting pitcher role. It's not middle relief. It's a different energy, a different game coming in the 9th inning and closing out and being automatic. Every single pitch is full of tension because as we've seen now in the last couple games, it can go sideways really quick if you're not ready for it. The other thing too about Devin Williams, this whole saga that's going on with him, accountable. You can't ask for anything more, right? I mean, this isn't somebody trying to pass the buck. He was very, very clear with reporters that, hey, this stuff is not working right now, and he knows it. So let's hear, before we kind of close out, let's hear from Devin Williams and his perspective here. And this is, again, from MLB.com.
So, it's getting pretty frustrating. The only thing you can do is keep, I don't know, it's something I've been battling for most of the season. So, it's getting pretty frustrating. The only thing you can do is keep working, continue to show up every day and, give it everything I've got. It's not a good feeling not to be able to, get the job done for the team. They put us in a great position to win there, and I couldn't get it done today. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of adjustments that I've had to make, new life stuff that's going on, but at the end of the day, I'm here to get outs, and I'm not doing that right now, so it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, I still believe in myself. I believe in my ability to go out there and, shut it down, so I'm just going to keep working. No, I mean, the hitter.
Can't ask for anything more in terms of accountability. I mean, he knows it. He knows that it's not working, and he's going to work to try to do it. I mean, I think, in this particular situation, before Clay Holmes kind of became the closer, and he was a surprise as well when he came over from Pittsburgh. It was not a sure thing that he was going to become the closer. He was electric. He was lights out. They put him back there. And for a couple of years, it was good knowing there was an assurance that it was going to be him taking over that role, especially from Chapman, who was lights out and ended up struggling and giving up the long ball too often, right? It was hit or miss. there. And the Yankees, after I believe after Holmes, it's been comfortable going from Chapman to Holmes to Weaver to Williams and now back to Weaver. What we don't want to do is a bullpen by committee closing the game, because that ends up becoming so messy. No one knows their role, and that can turn into a bloody mess. God knows Boston did that a number of years back. The Yankees did that when there wasn't really a surefire closer for a long time. But that ends up becoming a mess and always a disaster. So hopefully the Yankees can figure this out. Hopefully there's adjustments to be made. I'd like to see them use him in winning formula leverage positions, just so that if he's getting the 8th and the 7th and the 8th and getting confidence back, building it up slowly, that they can probably move him back to the 9th. Also, thank God this is happening in April. If this was happening in September, I think there would be a lot of people worried about going into the playoffs in this particular case. But the fact that it's happening in April, and the fact that the organization is making a move to win games, is showcasing that they know that these games are important. Right now, the outcome of 3 or 4 games have been dictated by the performance of Devin Williams. Certainly that one against Toronto, certainly that one against the Rays, certainly the one against Detroit. They ended up winning that game. And certainly the one against Pittsburgh that they ended up losing. So right now, in the games that have really been affected by Devin Williams, they're 1-3. So they got a 4-3 victory out of Detroit when he gave up 3 earned runs. They ended up coming back from those games. Those losses count at the end of the year. And so now that they're signaling that they care about these things, that's a good sign for the Yankees. Remember last year, not to keep hammering this number, but it took them 12 blown saves to make a move with Clay Holmes before they switched him out. This year, we got a month into the season before they made a move. That is staggering. Staggeringly different. 12 blown saves for Clay Holmes before they made a move to Weaver, before he started taking over games as the closer. This year, 1 month into the season, they're not messing around. They know they need every single win. Let me get the actual stat here on Luke Weaver. Baseball Reference. And Luke Weaver's been pretty lights out this year too, even in his role. And it's really nice to see a player that just steps into any role, whatever they want to do, right? Especially after the reports of hearing that Glaber didn't want to move to third base and all that kind of stuff. It's just nice to see a player that's saying, no, I'll step in and do whatever you need me to do. Does it tell you exactly the day when Weaver started getting? Weaver recorded his first save in September 6th. Of last year. Ended up recording 4 saves last year. Is that right, man? It seems like so many more. Ended up with 84 innings pitched last year, only allowing 52 hits with 103 strikeouts. Quite a record. I mean, he was certainly a very, very important bullpen piece, but boy, yeah, I mean, it's a lot better this happening in April than happening in September. I mean, the Yankees have organizationally shown that they're willing to change. So with that, we're going to call it a little bit of a podcast today, and we're going to wrap up the show. Next week, we'll be talking about some more stuff, some more movies, but for now, it's just a late record, so we're just going to finish up with talking about Devin Williams, and hopefully we'll see him have more success going in the future. But for now, this is the Powell Not Found podcast. Go ahead and follow us on all social channels and go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the alert button as well. and help grow the show that way, go to anywhere that they have podcasts and rate and review the show. And we'll see you next week. Thank you. This is the Powell Not Found podcast. See you later.
Like to watch once a passing